Welcome to Dad's Divorce Live. I'm Matt Allen, editor of dadsdivorce.com. Our guest on this episode is Rosalind Sedacca, who is the founder of the Child-Centered Divorce Network, the author of the book, How Do I Tell the Kids About the Divorce, and also the author of a free ebook that we'll talk about later in the interview. Rosalind, thank you very much for joining me.
Thanks, Matt. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
In your book, you talk a lot about dangerous mistakes that parents can make when going through a troubling divorce. So what are some of those mistakes?
Yes, unfortunately, they're far too common, and we need to catch them really early on. So one of the first is bad-mouthing your ex. Regardless of how you may feel about her, she's the mother of your children, and your children love her. And so it's very important not to say anything disparaging about your ex, regardless of how righteous you feel about it, because it hurts your children. Whether they say something or not, emotionally and psychologically, it hurts them to think that there's a part of them that's bad or evil or hurtful in any way. So it's a very dangerous mistake. Another equally important mistake that all therapists and studies have proven is fighting around the children. That means in earsight of hearing of the children, or if they're in the other room, on telephone or anything else. You have to keep your conflict away from the children, because that is the most dangerous thing. They feel guilty. They feel responsible. It hurts them. They want to fix the situation. Obviously, they can't fix it. And it's a no-win situation. So you want to keep any conflict totally away. Even if they're sleeping in the other room, you don't want to be doing it in the same house as them. Also important is understanding that you can destroy your children's childhood by the way you behave about the divorce. So don't use your children as spies between the homes. I know it's very tempting to find out what mom's doing, if some other guy called her, where you went, and all the other details. And some of it is a natural conversation for you to have. But be very careful that when you get too much into using your children as spies, they feel a responsibility. They feel awkward because mom may be saying, don't say this to dad, and you're asking them and probing them for questions. The best advice is not to be doing it with your children because it hurts them internally. Also, don't use your children as messengers. You want your children to be able to have the joy of being children and not remembering. Tell mom that she should pick you up at 8 and not 7:30, those kinds of things. That's why we have these wonderful online parenting scheduling programs. One of my favorites is kidsontime.com, but there are many of them, and they're very inexpensive, and they cover all the areas that you could possibly need to know about communicating with your children, about your children, scheduling dates. And when you do that, it lowers conflict. And you also don't have to pick up the phone and talk about something which may lead into another area and then create more tension. So keep your children out of those battles. You also don't want to be giving children information that's adult oriented. So as tempting as it is to say that your mom's an alcoholic or some other thing, she had an affair or whatever it is, you don't want to be sharing adult information with children, even your teens. It's hard enough for adults to handle this information, as you well know, let alone giving it to your children to muddle over. Again, they can't fix it. Don't share it. If after they're 21 years old, you want to bring it up, that's another story. But let your children be children and let them honor the mom and dad that they really love. So those are a few of the most basic.
Now, obviously, we have a predominantly male audience. So are those mistakes you mentioned more commonly made by men or women?
It's both. There are good moms, there are good dads, and there are bad on both sides. And so it really isn't a gender issue. It's tempting to do these things because we feel angry and resentful and hurt from our ex. And both mothers and fathers make mistakes that are very serious and at the same rate. And mothers and fathers also can step up and take the high road and do the right job because they love their children. So I really implore all fathers to understand that whether your children say anything or not, They take this information in and they feel tremendous guilt and responsibility for somehow making a shift, making it better. They don't want to hurt mom or dad, and they're torn between. So don't put them in a position where they have to feel torn. Let them be who they are and let them love both of you without guilt.
Now, you recently wrote an article on how divorced parents can help their children get through the holidays. So how important is it to exhibit model behavior with your ex, not only throughout the year, but especially during the holiday time?
Well, this is a hypersensitive time of year, and the children want to have the model movie Christmas, and things may not be that way in your family and in so many families where there are divorces. So you really want to walk on eggshells and be very careful. Number one, you do want to be a model, role model for your children, and you want to be very compassionate. It's okay to talk to them about sadness or tears and about the way things used to be and they aren't anymore. It's okay to acknowledge that and let them know you understand why they're feeling sad or hurt. But also you want to let them know that life is full of changes, just like changing grades in school, moving to a new school when you get to another level. These changes happen, and this is a change in our family, and it doesn't mean it's the end of the world. It just means we're going to do things differently. So this holiday system, let's create some new memories. And this is a time to create new traditions. Don't do the exact same thing that reminds everyone of how it used to be. Go to new places, cook different foods, visit different places in your time off. Volunteer with your children at a soup kitchen or another place to remind them that there are a lot of families who are hurting even more than yours. And make things in a different order and visit different people. Invite people over differently. You have to decide whether or not both parents are going to be celebrating the holidays together or whether it's an absolute separation. And it's going to be different in every family. Remember, there are no rules. So what your neighbors do or your cousin did doesn't mean that you have to do it the same way. If you two get along for the sake of the children, then you could spend some time together. If you can't, then create new traditions and separations, but always be open and receptive to letting the kids talk to their mom, call their mom, do a Skype call or text or whatever it is so that the connection is there. And of course, mom should be more than willing to do the same thing for you. The more you do favors for one another, the better the co-parenting experience is for everyone.
And finally, I understand you have a new ebook out. Can you tell us a little bit about it and where our viewers can go to download it?
Yes, it's a free ebook on post-divorce parenting, success strategies for getting it right. And if you visit my website at childcentereddivorce.com, you could pick it right up. Just give me your email address and it will automatically get sent to you. And we also have a special month-long commemoration in January for International Child-Centered Divorce Month. And I have divorce experts on 5 continents around the world providing free gifts. That's books and videos and audios and coaching services and a lot of other free gifts and services for divorced or divorcing parents. And you can pick that up starting January 1st at a special website, which is divorcedparentsupport.com/ebook. So I suggest everyone in January join us and take advantage of all the free, wonderful advice and support systems that we have available for you.
Well, it sounds like a great promotion that can be incredibly resourceful for our viewers. So I encourage everyone to check out the free ebook that Rosalind is promoting. Rosalind, thank you very much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Matt. I really appreciate your having me on board.
That was Rosalind Sedacca, the founder of the Child-Centered Divorce Network and the author of the book, How Do I Tell the Kids About the Divorce? I'm Matt Allen, and that'll do it for this edition of Dad's Divorce Live.